to the podcast for forward-thinking creatives and changemakers. A See Africa special edition, recorded live from AMT Studios in Johannesburg. Here is the guest presenter from Botswana. It's Dumi Ramsden.
Well, we're back here again and welcome. Just a little reminder of where we are. We are on the Creative One podcast. We have a venue audience, and like a typical musician on stage, I kind of feel like I want to do this. So I'm going to ask you this question, quite rhetoric, but let me give it a try, okay? Right, everybody, are you there? All right, thank you very much. We've got people from all over. We've got my people from Botswana, of course, they need to support me here, and of course, others online. Once again, I want to welcome you back to the second or third session of See Africa 2021. I hope we've all had a chance to get into our virtual exhibition. Well, I did during the break, and I indulged in quite a bit and like you to do the same. I got to meet and greet some great African brands all over from Johannesburg, Gaborone, Accra, all the way to the States. So there's a lot going on there. Just make sure that you check out the virtual exhibition hall. I digressed. So let's get back to the program. What have we come back to? With the theme, as now I think, and I'd like to believe that we're all aware of, digital audience development, the organizers decided to take one of the fastest growing types of small business that's happening globally online right now. And we're going to put a spotlight on it and learn from it. You know, the whole idea about us getting together here as we are is so that we can really learn and grow and develop. Now, YouTube is now known as the creator economy, and it's no wonder why. There's so much going on there, and we will have a guest expert to help us kind of get through this and have a firm understanding of what goes on. All the way from the western part of the continent, we have Ghana's top audio visual consultant. He is the go-to person when it comes to film and video production in Accra. And he himself actually is a YouTuber, hey? He's got over 20 years in the creative industry, working in film, content production, brand photography, design, fashion, advertising, and the music industry. Surely he's done it all. He runs a production company, NKACC, and a product design studio. His name is Nana Asihene, owner of Nana Asihene Design Studio. He'll be curating this session. Quite excited to have him here. He's online, so shall we please give him a very, very big See Africa welcome. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for that. Nana, you must be feeling a little bit warmer just from that applause.
Yes. How are you doing today?
Great. I'd like us to get straight into it, Nana. Okay, here's the deal, right? This is massive. YouTube is huge, is it not?
Definitely. I mean, with like you were saying, there's a lot of creators on YouTube right now, and it seems like YouTube has become like an example for me. At times, there are days when I don't go onto any other network. I'm just on YouTube and I'm watching just YouTube channels, because the kind of content that comes out of there is very informative, if not even more informative than some of our cable channels, etc. So I think that and the industry there is booming because there's a lot more creators on YouTube at different levels, on different topics, different things to talk about on YouTube. So I think it's the YouTube creator economy has become big, and it's very exciting, and I think it holds a lot of things in the future, and it has to be done well.
Great, I agree fully. Now, you've taken an in-depth look at the work of the YouTubers that we will be zooming into this afternoon. I'd like to understand first, before we get into that session, what exactly is it that you were looking for in your analysis? And I mean, what I want to understand really is, when you analyze someone's YouTube account or channel, what are the key aspects or features that really matter?
Okay. From a personal point of view, because I have a YouTube channel, so the first thing for me to do is look at how many followers or subscribers they have, and compare it to mine, and see if they are doing better than me. But that's just on the see, I mean, on a more professional level, I would look at the production value in their content that they've put on their channel. I'd also look at things like editing. I mean, that's a very technical thing, but sometimes you need a lot of editing. Sometimes you need just little editing. So that's something I also take a look at. I think one of the thing that draws you most to every channel is their thumbnails and the graphic design on their channel. So that's something I also look at, because that would be the first thing that draws me into somebody's channel. I see a nice thumbnail and I click it. That's like clickbait. I go click it. The times when the video behind the thumbnail isn't as great as as the thumbnail itself, but that obviously draws me into the channel. And then also how the person brings talks about the same topic but from an alternate perspective. Like the person may be talking about men's lifestyle or sports or travel, but how do they tell their story? Storytelling is important. That's what holds us in and holds us during the period of the video. So that's something I look at. Obviously, there are other things like lighting, sound, where they have opening credits, etc., that I will look at, obviously. But that's more on the secondary level. But primarily, these things I've mentioned are the things that I will look out for when I'm analyzing or even just looking at a YouTube channel.
All right. Okay, so I think we've got that all clear. We now know exactly what it is that you were looking at when you were analyzing the content or the YouTubers that we've got here today. I'm going to bring in now a creator who really does absolutely impressive work online. Zuziway, Kuku, can you kindly join me in my studio? Hey, how are you? I'm glad you're feeling special. I feel happy to have you here. A little bit about Zuziway. She produces content that focuses mainly on beauty, lifestyle, and family vlogs. Zuziway, your channel is really all about creating, I believe, content that is a reflection of your life. I mean, we're talking beauty and lifestyle, and I see the whole package already. So it's in essence, it's an extension of who you are.
Yeah.
Is this how you would describe it?
Definitely. I think for me, when I started the channel, it was just creating a space that I can sort of enjoy, and it has to come authentically. So I had to mirror my life in the content that I was creating, and I found that I was more relatable like that because there were so many other people that did the same things that I did, like the same things, and even if it wasn't to the T, but maybe we had similar backgrounds, or like maybe we were going through a similar journey at that specific time. So when I created it, I was actually a new mom, so obviously that was in my content, so a lot of people related to that as well. So yeah, it's definitely a mirror of my life, and I want to keep it that way.
Great. Authenticity, always yields relatability.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You are in the creator economy, and we're definitely going to learn from you. So we're happy to have you here right now, right? I'm going to hand you over to Nana Asihene. And as I said earlier, he's done an analysis of your content on your YouTube channel. But before we get to that, I'd also like to bring on yet another fantastic YouTuber from Ghana. His name is Osei Kwame. Osei is a creative who does video documentaries, but also documents quite a bit of his personal life on his channel. Quite similar, really, to what Zuziway has just said, right? So I'm gonna, it looks like Osei is not here at the moment, but that shouldn't be a problem. I'm gonna hand over now, Zuziway, to Nana for the analysis, and let's just hear from the expert and from the practitioner and get a sense of really how you can make a business out of this YouTube creator economy. Nana, I'm gonna hand over to you. Are you ready?
Yes, I am. I'm waiting. Okay, hi, how are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
And I can't even see you.
He's over there.
I feel like I'm talking to a ghost.
You're talking to him over there.
Okay.
Yeah. Into the camera over there.
Okay.
Yes, I spent a lot of time on your channel. I watched, well, about half of your videos. I went through every one of them. I particularly enjoyed the one with your son, where you played 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. That was a
I
recent
think
one.
I think it's a smart boy. Yes. Okay, so uh, first of all, let me ask you. Like, I just want to ask you some questions, and then as we talk, I would chip in what I think because I need to understand. Apart from just what I've seen, I need to understand. First thing I want to understand is in sharing on your channel, how much of your personal life are you comfortable sharing on your YouTube channel?
I think for me, because obviously it is a mirror of my life, I think it is important to share my life in its authentic sense. But obviously, because I'm not just by myself, I have a husband, I have a son, and I have to obviously find a way to balance all of that. So everything has to be. So funny enough, whenever I do create a vlog, especially if it's a family vlog, I'll have my husband just have a look at it, just in case there is something that I missed that we might not be comfortable with. Because the one thing as content creators that we need to understand is that we are living with other people that did not consent necessarily to be content creators, right? So you might find that my son said something that might be scrutinized online, or my husband said something that people might not understand because they don't have the context. So I always have to make sure that I find a balance for me to be able to show myself and to relate to my audience and be authentic, but also be able to protect my privacy and the family that I live with. So you have to find a balance.
Yeah, okay, that's great. So the reason why I asked that is I've been doing some amount of research and it, well, what I gathered, and that's something that I would also share with you. I like the fact that your husband and your son are on your channel. And what I'll say is that it would be great if you start treating them as characters. Like every story has a character. So every film has a character. So if you can start treating them as characters, I know consciously or unconsciously you are doing that, but if you could look at it and see how you can expand that, because I like your husband's character. I like the way he comes in, a bit naive about what you're doing, but he's still very bubbly and very involving in what you're doing. So that could be his character. Find ways and means of developing. I know he probably didn't sign up to to be a content creator, but just for the fact that he's with you, he has no choice. But yeah, I think you should look at him as a character and see how you can improve his character, how you can help his character develop and engage the audience for you. And the same thing for your son. I think your son being himself is already great. I mean, because I was watching a video where at certain times he would just lie back and lift his hands and then he'll be looking away. I think that's his character. So think of ways you can develop that and they stay authentic, they are themselves, but you see how you can weave that into a story narrative when you're putting out your videos. The next thing I probably want to ask, let's talk a little bit about your editing. So the very first video I watched was about, I think, 26 minutes. And then I watched another one that was about 30 something. Then the next one was about 12 minutes. And I think I went to like a 16. On my channel, the longest video I have there is about 11 minutes, I think. I think so. I think it's 11 minutes. And I was just worried about engagement across the entire period, because the thing is, you want people to be able to watch from ideally watch from minute 1 all the way to the last minute. So I just wanted to ask you, you know the analytics of your channel, etc. You have the numbers, you're already monetizing. Do people usually watch from the beginning all the way to the end? Have you taken a look at some of these numbers?
So I think for me, what I've obviously analyzed, because when we look at the stats, you try and see what works and what doesn't. And I think I employ different strategies for different types of content. So, and for me, like I say, YouTube is a passion of mine, and it's a hobby that has turned into a business, and it is content that I would like to watch. So there are all the metrics and all the strategies and all the correct way of doing things, and I'll employ that with different types of content, but I also don't want to restrict myself to the point where I am solely trying to appease the quote unquote algorithm, right? Because then it takes away the fun out of what I'm doing. Because I can sit within a session, watch a video that is a vlog for an hour. Obviously, I'm not the typical watcher, right? Because stats do say people will live, like they will exit your video within the first 10 minutes of some sort. So there is a time where I'm like, okay, this needs to make sense, pipe it down, decrease the amount of minutes that are there. But then there's a time where I'm just like, you know what, actually, it doesn't matter. The people that are there for it are there for it. And people will say, we want longer vlogs, we want longer, type of videos. So I think you also, as a creator, need to be able to balance the two, because you can be caught trying to appease other people, and it takes away from your creativity, and it takes away from the message that you're trying to communicate with your audience. So I'll say find a balance.
Okay, that's great. So the reason why I asked that is, you know your audience, and you know how your audience reacts to your videos. So I wouldn't want to come and say, make your video shorter. No, that's what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is understand, because you know the numbers, understand where you're coming from, because I realize some of them are obviously longer and some are shorter. And yes, I noticed the strategies with different kinds of content, So I just wanted to understand, wanted to know if it was an intentional thing you were doing, and you know how you were placing the timings on your videos, etc. Okay, so the next thing I noticed about your channel too was about your thumbnails. I think that okay, so let me put it this way. I would have loved, from a professional point of view, and note I'm saying professional point of view because that's like ideal thing. I also recognize the fact that this is something that's a passion that's become a business. So all my comments would come from a very pro point of view, assuming I was dealing with you and you were submitting your videos to, say, like a Netflix or something. So pardon me if I'm a bit too professional, but that's the thing, to be able to juxtapose the very pro best practices with what you're doing and still keep it organic and authentic. So the thing is, for thumbnails, I was thinking about the fact that when I went onto your channel, I liked your banner. It showed me exactly what you were about. I just felt like some of the thumbnails were a bit too, in terms of visibility, text, I couldn't see some of the text. Maybe it's because of the font you use. Maybe it's just because the background was a bit too, as bright as the text in the foreground. It's just basic little things like that I wish you could actually streamline and tweak a few things here and there, so that it could from a glance, there will seem to be some level of visual consistency on your thumbnails. I've seen other YouTubers do it. I try and do it on my channel. There are other lifestyle video people that I've seen, YouTubers that I've seen do that. So I'm just hoping that you could actually probably look at some of those things, because I feel like the gems on your channel that I discovered, I had to go clicking before I discovered them. Instead of it being in my face, like at face value, I couldn't read. I had to go in and click and figure out these gems. For example, like I told you, my favorite video was after I clicked and found out things. That's when it jumped up to me, So maybe that's something you can look at. You could actually tell me your thinking behind your thumbnails, etc. And if there's anything I can throw in, I'll throw in for you.
I think that's a very good point. For me, as I think there's a difference also in the type of people that you're targeting. So I'm not going to specifically group people, but for me, making sure that you have consistent font is very important. Make sure that your thumbnail represents the video, and obviously use some sort of quality images. And the different fonts and the different types of videos that people gravitate to, they'll gravitate to. If your imagery as a channel is consistent and they know that, okay, this is Zuziway's video. So I always try to make sure that, not always, but I mostly try and make sure that my face is on the thumbnail so that people see, because before they read the title of the video, they're looking at the actual picture. And I'll have consistent fonts, right? So that people understand and they see. So if I have a layout of putting maybe 3 pictures in the thumbnail and a big splash of text over that, that's the sort of look and feel that my audience can see, right? So it's consistent with my channel. But now, if you are not necessarily, like you're saying, you had to dig to, you had to dig through the content to find the type of stuff that you liked. Not saying that you're not my target audience, but I don't think you are. But it's a good point. I definitely do want to take that into account because you ultimately want to make sure that you cast a wide net, right? And catch as many fish as you can, but also in a targeted and strategic way. So creators, I think, are trying to find a balance between creating the content that they want, following best practice for whatever platform they are in, and also making sure that they are doing all the other work, so like the editing, the graphics, and all of that type of stuff. So some of them don't necessarily have the skill set, and they will then get other people, but not everybody has the luxury to employ a graphic designer to be able to do that, and they'll use services or apps like a Canva or an Over or whatever those services are. So I think, for me, it will just be staying consistent with the branding that you're putting out there to make sure that people know that this is the look and feel of her thumbnails, and the next time I see one of her videos, it's going to look similar to the one I previously saw, so that they can be able to gravitate to that because of the familiarity that they have.
Okay, so just one last note on that. I noticed that all your thumbnails have your face, which I think is a great thing. Like you said, from a strategy point of view, there's that consistency throughout. The only thing I'd say is that maybe you can take a look at the color of the font or the placement of the fonts, because all things said and done, I want to be able to read what you've put on the thumbnail. If I can't really read it, then that becomes like a little visibility problem. So if you can just maybe same thing, same font. I'm not asking you to change anything, but I'm just saying in terms of visibility, maybe contrast between the background and your font. Maybe that would help a little. And also, don't worry, I watched some of your videos about how to install wake caps, etc. You never know. I was very inquisitive, so I went through all the videos. Yes. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to talk about may not necessarily be your thing, but I always believe in alternate perspectives. So I watch a lot of YouTube channels, and everybody seems to have a different perspective. And just like your favorite series on TV, when you go there and it gets a bit monotonous, you feel a bit bored. I mean, let me just keep it simple. So I think that sometimes you can try alternate perspectives. I mean, and that's something that's a never-ending process. There can be a million alternate perspectives, and I think I've seen you do that, because the videos with your son was different from the videos with your husband. I like the way they felt very very homey and very natural, even when there were outtakes of things that were happening off camera. I like the way that I could feel there was something happening, you get back to what you're doing. But also, don't close your mind to alternate perspectives, like different ways of filming things. Like there are people like Matt Davella on YouTube who are making a killing, who always have like a different perspective. And you could also look at the introduction of, say, B-roll. I don't know, but that's something I would say. I don't know if it will work for your channel or your strategy, but the way you approach your B-roll would also work. That there were a few times when you were doing your vlogs that I wish there was like a little music in the background to just keep the pace going. My good friend Osei Kwame here does videos where there's no sound in the background, it's just his voice. And then he does a lot of sound design where you can hear trees, you can hear sound that relates to what he's doing. So that's sort of like keeps you going. So I'm thinking that going forward, you can look into sound design. You are doing an amazing job, and I think it can be better because I see your content being extracted as a serial or something on Netflix because of the quality of the content. So yeah, that's something you should look into. Alternate ways of improving your channel, and I'm sure you're doing that already. So yeah, that would be one of the last things I say about your channel. Lighting, etc. I think your lighting is great. I don't know if Osei will agree with me, but I think the weather in South Africa is great for filming. Y'all have very nice skin tones and very soft lighting, and you look awesome every time you shoot your videos. I can hear lighting is great already. Even when you're outdoors, I mean, it's pretty good. So I think that's something that's working well for you. Like I said, for sound design, it would be great to have like that channel intro or something. I'm just thinking maybe just a little thing, a little fan bit, like a 10-second, 15-second thing of you being yourself, just to give us an idea of the channel. And maybe that would be the last thing I say about your channel. But I think, yeah, you're doing an amazing job. I spent my whole night yesterday and the day before watching your videos. So I think it's great. I enjoyed the one where you went shopping and you were talking about all the things you bought and all the discounts. And I like the integration of the brands, the discount codes in your link and everything. I think that's amazing and that's great. For an economic like yours, I know there are lots of possibilities to be able to do that and monetize and make money. So hey, kudos. I think you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you so much. And I think it's great to hear from someone that is coming from a professional standpoint, because I think we a lot of creators do find themselves being so defensive about the content that they create that it's like, no, this is perfect. I don't want to hear anything, because you pour so much of yourself and you're sharing it with the world, that you need to take a step back and listen to what someone else is saying from watching an objective opinion that maybe you might have missed, So it's really, really nice. And I think that's why it is also important to get like feedback from whether it's your audience or a professional that is advising you, just so that you can be able to get those key takeaways and implement them in your already working strategy. So thank you so much for those points, and yeah, I'll try and implement the ones that I feel like will be viable, which is most of them. So thank you so much.
Feedback well taken.
Want to reach out anytime, let me know. I'm available.
Cool.
All right, that was quite great.
I feel like I was being groomed. What is this?
Is that how you felt? I thought you took the feedback so well. Look at her go, right?
No, it was really, really nice. Yeah. I think also because we already have these conversations as creators. It's just a matter of implementing the things or, trying to find the right person to do the things, So amongst creators, people do talk. People do, there's a sense of community that we have that, hey, you saw Mang doing an intro for her channel. And you're like, oh, friend, who did you get to do your channel? Your channel intro and all of those different things. There are tips that we give each other. There are key takeaways that we get from watching other people occupy the same space that you occupy. So it's not new conversations. It's just maybe phrased in a different way, or it came at the right time where you're like, okay, I was already ready to implement that. So you receive it better.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as we're saying today, it really is about growth and development. Yeah. Thank you very much, Nana, for the feedback, and of course, very well done to you, Zuziway.
Thank you.
I mean, as he's been saying, you're doing exceptionally well from a professional point of view. Yeah. Nana, Osei is on the line. Osei, hi, can you hear us? Osei?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
yes,
fantastic. I'm going to quickly hand you over to Nana, who did exactly what he has just done with Zuziway, like an analysis of the content that you have on your channel. So, Nana, there's Osei for you.
It's actually very, very interesting because there's a lot of peer review that Osei and I already do. I mean, like every time I put out a video, be it professional or on my YouTube, he'll be the first person to message me and tell me, hey, bro, the sound was a bit off.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's something that Osei and I do already. So I guess my conversation with him would be just to give you a certain level of perspective on our side of town, how we do things, and then we can both share nuggets. Because Osei is also Osei is an amazing filmmaker and he's a great sound professional. He does a lot of sound and he takes particular attention to his sound. So I guess maybe I would ask him questions towards that, and then people can extract some knowledge from that. Osei, how are you?
Yeah, Charlie, I'm good, man. What's up?
I'm good. Okay, so I mean, I'm just trying to get information out of you so everybody learns about this one. Talk us through your process, your sound process. I'm saying sound because film, yes, we'll come to that, but sound is your forte. So talk us through your sound planning process for your YouTube channel.
I think I consider sound even before the picture, because the rule for filmmaking with regards to sound is people can forgive the resolution, people can forgive shaky footage, but if they cannot hear the subject in the film properly, if they cannot hear the music properly, if they cannot hear the actualities. When we say actualities, we mean the actual things that should be making noise in the scene. If it's a door, if it's something falling, if it's your voice, if they can't hear those elements properly, then it makes it very difficult for them to see. So sound actually makes you see. So I pay attention more to sound than to the composition. I mean, one of the first things I pick up or I check to charge is my microphones, even before the camera. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I'm talking about, and when I was watching Zuziway's channel, I forgot to say, I think she has great sound. It's just like her voice, but I think her voice recording levels are amazing. I forgot to say that. Okay, back to say. So do you want to tell us that? Okay, let me put it this way: your investment in sound equipment versus your investment in video equipment. Which one do you think surpasses the other?
I think for now I pay attention to more of the sound, because the video when I have good sound, I can use my phone, and you see like video coming from an iPhone. Maybe I'm recording far away from the iPhone, but I mic myself with a lapel mic connected to the iPhone, versus somebody recording with their iPhone in public who hasn't mic'd themselves and they're far away from the phone. And my video sounds more professional because I picked up sound. So investment in sound, attention to sound is of a higher stake than video, because video nowadays is in the palm of our hands. There are other elements of film that makes what we see much better than the camera. I mean, the camera is good, but if you have your phone and you light properly, I have a video on my channel where I recorded with my iPhone, which at the time was an iPhone 10, but the lighting and the sound was taken care of, and it looked like any other video except the fact that, it wasn't a certain camera or lens that would separate me from the background, but the sound was crisp and the light was good. So there are certain elements that a lot of people don't pay attention to, which in my opinion supersede the camera you're using. You can have the best camera, you can have the best lenses, but if you're communicating a story, unless your story is literally music and B-roll or cutaways, it's just fancy, there's no storytelling or there's no element of speaking in there, then that's different. But even that, you consider light even before your lenses or your camera, because when you light properly, any lens can shoot a scene when you light properly. Yeah. So I guess sound is gonna trump the camera any day.
Okay, so there's something that just came to mind, and I probably want you or Sarah to talk about it. Maybe Zuziway can also talk about that. So on my channel, I'm coming from a professional point of view because I do this for brands, etc. And then on my spare time, I do this for YouTube. But my channel is predominantly about me and what I do. But I noticed a similarity between your channel and her channel, where you have your spouse on there and she has a spouse on there. And I initially asked her a question about doing this professionally, YouTube. I mean, like showing the whole world your life. What are some of the challenges when it comes to
Let me position myself.
showing a certain part of your life as against like cutting that out? I mean, because I think Zuziway mentioned that maybe the two of you can give all of us any perspective on where it ends and where it starts,
Can you please take the question again? It was breaking and I didn't hear. Can you hear me properly now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you properly now. Yes.
So, I was just drawing a similarity between your channel and Zuziway's channel, where she talks about her family, where she brings her family on the channel, and I know on your channel you bring your spouse also on the channel. So I wanted to do like a compare and contrast thing. I don't know whether it will geographically make sense, but in her case, I would probably want her to talk a bit more about that, where to draw the line in her culture and in your culture, which is my culture, where you draw the line on how to bring your family in and where you end at?
Okay. I think drawing the line in my case, I think is drawn at home before it comes out. So it's what your spouse is comfortable with sharing, and it's what you as a team are comfortable with sharing. So the line is drawn, whatever we are putting out, both of us are aware and both of us are comfortable with what is coming out. It's reviewed by my wife anytime we record something and we freestyle and she talks. She actually watches the whole video, and sometimes she's uncomfortable with some of the things said or something that was in the video, and she actually makes me edit it out or put a disclaimer somewhere. So I think the line is drawn at home before it even comes out, because our kind of videos, when she features on the channel, are more about conversations about our life and the things we go through. It's seldom about random, funny things that we do just to get attention. It's seldom about pulling a prank on somebody. It's seldom about, I don't know how to put it, unreal things. It's just our real perspectives on certain conversations that we put out. So whatever we say, if sometimes we're not politically correct and she watches it and she realizes that something she says in there was not said appropriately, we can sometimes scrap the whole video and restart and record the whole thing again so that she can rephrase or edit that part out. So drawing the line here for us has already started, already starts at home before the video comes online, because she didn't even want to feature on the channel in the first place. So I'm respecting her boundaries. I'm respecting her opinions. I'm respecting her as a person, and the fact that we're putting our lives out there. So that is where the boundary or the lines are drawn. We don't seek attention. It's more of a personal diary for us as well. As in, we sit and talk, and whatever we talk about, we know we can watch again and see that, yeah, this is what we've been through from here to this point and all those things. So yeah, we don't just do it for the sake of getting views or attention or the money. It's more like a personal diary. So yeah.
Okay, Caesar, do you want to say something to that?
I think my sentiments echo exactly what he said, because usually the people that we're shooting at, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a friend, whether it's your child, you have to see that they are comfortable and ask them, and they need to also review the content that you're about to put out, obviously, if they can be consenting, right? Of age. So for me, it's usually that when we are shooting, we're usually together. If there's something that I'm not noticing that is maybe inappropriate, or something that is, that could be compromising our security. So let's say I'm shooting a vlog and our street name is showing, or our house is showing the number or the registration of the car. Sometimes you miss stuff like that. So they, you make them watch the video before it goes out, so that if you had missed something, they can be able to say, hey, I think we should edit that part out, or that's not what I meant when I said it like that, but now that I'm listening back to it, it doesn't sound like how I meant it, So I think just making sure that people are comfortable, because at the end of the day, it's not their channel, and they didn't ask to be a content creator. So just make sure that you respect them. So it's basically the same thing that he was saying.
Okay. So like the title of this thing, it talks about YouTube being like a pro. Because I do this on a daily for brands, the way I make money out of this is totally different from the YouTube way of making money. For me, it would more or less be like receive a brief from a client, and then I go through the processes of pre-production, all of that, speaking to the brand's ethos and all of that, and then be able to produce content for the brand. Making money on YouTube, however, is a totally different ball game. And let me admit, as much as I do this as a pro, I will admit that the both of you are doing better with your YouTube channel than I am. So now I am going to ask you to advise me on the topic of monetizing. I know both of you have monetized, so maybe you can give us 2 or 3 tips on how to monetize, or how you monetize, or how the monetization journey is for you. And especially because we are in two different geographical areas, you can speak to us about how it works in South Africa and in that region. And then maybe you'll say you can speak to how it's worked for you in this part of Africa.
Okay, so for me, obviously, making sure that your content is advertiser friendly. So if you're uploading a video, there will be that checklist that you do to see if everything is on board. And obviously, you have to make sure that your channel is monetized and all of those type of things. So making sure that you put your ads and the works, right? All the technical stuff that you put in to be able to make money from your videos. But also understanding that, especially in our context, Africa is not necessarily the brands are not throwing that much money in our location. There's more money made in America and the UK. The stats will even show, if you look at your analytics, if someone from the USA watches your video and they watch an ad, you will make more money from them than a local watching your video. So it also depends on the audience that you're trying to target and what the ultimate goal is, because you can either target an international audience and try and make money that way, or you can try and reach a wider audience locally and be able to work with local brands that will then pay you outside of the actual AdSense, because that's where most YouTubers make money. So it's similar to the way that you will get a client and you go through the brief, go through post-production, understand what the client is looking for if you're trying to advertise a specific product. So that's where most YouTubers make most of their money, especially in South Africa or in the African context, because brands are not really paying that much when it comes to AdSense. So you won't be able to sustain yourself just by AdSense only, unless if you're ranking in like million views every single video that you put up, right? So that's one part. And then, like I said, making sure that your content is advertiser friendly. So you don't want to be putting anything that is too controversial, not saying that you can't share an opinion, but swearing, putting up things that are violent, like all of these type of things that are not necessarily advertiser friendly, because most people understand, when you create a space like a platform and you have an audience, it is like a media space. So if I want to place my brand with this creator, I need to be able to make sure that they speak the same language, or they're going to be able to communicate my brand to their audience in a way that is a true representation of what my brand is. So if you are out here, acting a damn fool, for lack of a better word, you won't be monetized, and YouTube will, they will take those monetization abilities away. And also making sure that I think you also know this, just making sure that you don't use other people's content. So making sure that you follow the community guidelines. Copyright music, that's a no-no. You can't use other people's content in your content, because that's plagiarism, that's copying. So make sure that everything that you do is authentic, and if it's not necessarily your own, make sure that you have consent, so it doesn't have copyright, or you credit the creator in the description box, or whatever you necessarily have to do to make sure that the creator is credited. So it's all of those different things, but what it boils down to, working with brands is the biggest way that you can be able to sustain yourself as a creator on YouTube.
Thanks, Zuziway. Nana, before you hand over to Osei, I just want to let you know that we are a little bit mindful of time, so we won't have the Q&A session. However, I will allow Osei to kind of answer that last question that you had for him. Over to you, Nana.
Osei.
Okay, so I think coming from, I'm going to attack this for you directly. Monetization, as Zuziway said, is she has done the traditional on YouTube monetization, which is you make sure your content is, advertiser friendly, you do all those things. But for me, I think monetization can be seen in two different ways. I don't make a lot of money from AdSense, so it's almost negligible for me. I don't even consider it. But my presence on YouTube as a professional filmmaker, the whole presence and being consistent and doing mock videos shooting documentaries, showing my like dexterity in what I can do is what gets me money, as in gets me monetized. As in I get called to work because I show that I can shoot, I can mic, I can light, I can do this. So monetization shouldn't be seen in a very straight AdSense, brands calling you, Africa is not getting a lot of money. Get yours and get out. If you're a professional and you want to be known for something, I think for you, you don't have a lot of time. You have a lot of experience working with other brands, but you may want to attract some new audience. So I guess working on mock or concept ads, concept videos, short films, that's one side. And then doing a behind the scenes breakdown of those things. You can be called either to shoot an ad or be called to DP or even speak about how to make films. You can make money from these two platforms or these two channels. So monetization here shouldn't be seen in this traditional form because, like Zuziway was saying, the Africa faction of YouTube doesn't pay a lot. It doesn't pay a lot. If you're getting your views coming from US and Europe, then you get some money. Besides that, I think you should aim at trying to make money with your presence whilst you build a brand. So that brand presence is going to make you money outside the YouTube algorithm and AdSense. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, so I came out here to pour out, and I've also learned something. But the last thing I'm going to say is, I feel like with the way the world is going, content is king now, and all YouTubers should look at ways of taking this content and taking it up to the next level. Because I know people who have, based on their YouTube channel, being able to produce Netflix documentaries, etc. So I think that yes, and more people. So I think it's a great place to be in. And let's all not think that this is just YouTube, because essentially what we're doing is we have the eyeballs now, and very soon we are going to take over mainstream content. So every YouTuber out there shouldn't think that it is just YouTube. YouTube is now, and it will become bigger than what it is. I think that's the last thing I have to say.
Thank you very, very much, Nana Asihene, and of course your wonderful guests, Zuziway and Osei. They really deserve a round of applause for that very insightful conversation. We will definitely be following you on your YouTube channels. I can't wait to see your family, your vlogs, and all of that, right? And I guess I'm speaking for everyone else out there who hasn't actually been on the channel yet. Do we want to kind of, acknowledge somebody's presence here?
My husband sitting over there. He's over there. So.
He's here with us today. Yeah. We're hoping to see the little baby, but I guess
he's not little anymore.
Okay, well, we'll see the baby on the channel. All right, thank you so much, Zuziway. And Osei, thank you for those great insights. And Nana, it's been great. Now to my podcast guest, I'll see you on the other side of this episode.
This is the one.